What if your country was mentioned in a book written thousands of years ago, not just as a name, but as a key part of a divine plan, etched into the fabric of time? What if the land you walk on, the language you speak, and the soul of your people were never random but chosen? Iran is more than a country. It is a mystery wrapped in time, carrying something that refuses to die. Stay with this till the end, and you'll discover a truth not taught in schools, not broadcast on screens, and not buried in history. It's the kind of truth that awakens something deep inside. A fire, a calling, a reason for the struggle you felt but never fully understood. If you've ever wondered why some nations fade and others rise again and again, you're about to understand why Iran will never be erased. You will see why its story was written before time even began. Every human being carries within them a deep need to belong to something greater, a story, a legacy, a mission. That's not just emotion, it's hardwired into your brain. Psychology shows that meaning is what keeps people alive in the darkest hours. When we lose our sense of meaning, our spirit breaks. But when we realize we're part of something sacred, something bigger than ourselves, something eternal, that's when people rise. That's when people move mountains. Iran is not just soil and borders, it is soul and breath. Its history is carved into the bones of the earth, yet its future is carved into something even deeper, destiny. Even the oldest stories speak of this place, not as an enemy, not as a forgotten ruin, but as a spark, a thread in the great pattern, a player in the final act. You must ask yourself, why would ancient words from thousands of years ago name a nation still standing today? Why Iran? Why Persia? Why Elam? Because there are no accidents in destiny. Greatness never walks in randomly. It is always called, always chosen. And here's the truth most people miss. Nations are not just maps. They are reflections of people's hearts. Your destiny is your nation's destiny. If the soul of a nation rises, so do its people. If it sleeps, so does everyone under its sky. And Iran's soul, it never slept. It was only waiting for a time like now. You might feel the tension in the world. You might feel something shifting in your own life. That's not just politics or coincidence. That's purpose waking up. Iran is not at the end of its story. It's at the edge of something incredible. You are too. The words written long ago aren't just for scholars. They're for the broken, the hopeful, the forgotten, the rising. They're for those who feel that pull deep in their chest that says, I was made for more. That isn't fantasy. That's the truth waking up inside you. So if you've ever looked at Iran and wondered what its future could be, if you've ever felt something sacred in your roots, or if you've ever asked, is there more to this land than pain and politics, then keep listening. Because what's coming isn't just history, it's destiny being fulfilled. And the reward for those who endure through confusion, through silence, through darkness, is vision, clarity, a sense of place in the story that makes your life unshakable. Stay till the end. The deeper you go, the louder the truth becomes. Iran's biblical destiny isn't just a prophecy. It's a call to rise, to awaken, and to become unbreakable, just like the nation it speaks of. Empires rise and fall, but the spirit of a people can outlive time itself. Persia stood as a giant when the world was still learning how to walk. It wasn't just a land of rulers and wars. It was a force that shaped the very foundation of civilization. Long before modern borders, long before today's headlines, the heart of Iran beat with wisdom, strength, and vision. And that heart still beats. It may have been buried under dust and silence, but it was never destroyed. You must understand this. True power is never just physical. It is spiritual. It is psychological. A nation becomes powerful when its people believe they are, when they carry inside them the knowledge of who they are and where they come from. Persia didn't dominate the world just with armies. It ruled with ideas, with beauty, with law, with faith. And the shadow of that greatness still follows Iran like a whisper. Many people today have forgotten where they come from. But forgetting doesn't erase what is written in the soul. When a person is disconnected from their roots, they feel lost, confused, powerless. But when someone remembers, when they truly awaken to the truth of their history, their mind changes. Their back straightens, their heart ignites. That's the awakening happening now, quietly, all over Iran. The spirit of Persia is returning, not with noise, not with pride, but with clarity, with purpose, with destiny. This isn't about going back, it's about rising forward. The DNA of greatness still runs in the blood. The silence of the past years wasn't weakness, it was preparation. And now something ancient is being reborn. When people realize they are connected to something eternal, they stop living like victims. They begin to live like vessels of destiny. You are not here by accident. Neither is Iran. And the world is not ready for what happens when a sleeping giant remembers who it truly is. There are words written long ago that still echo across time, not just stories, not just poetry, prophecies, precise, direct, and powerful. In sacred texts that have outlived empires, there are names that reappear, names that were never meant to vanish. Among them is Iran, Persia, Elam. These names are not coincidences, they are markers, signs, reminders that destiny speaks long before history catches up. When a name appears in such ancient holy records, it means more than geography. It means meaning. It means involvement. It means that the people of that land are part of something greater than they know. That realization alone can shift a person's entire life. Because when you understand that your homeland is written into a sacred story, you start to walk differently. You speak with more power. You act with more intention. Psychology tells us that the greatest motivator for a human being is a sense of purpose. Not money, not comfort, not even happiness. Purpose. When people believe they are part of something that matters, they endure anything. They rise under pressure. They fight forward even in silence. That is why these ancient mentions are not just about national pride. They are psychological keys. Keys that unlock the warrior in the soul. Iran was not forgotten by heaven, it was written in, not erased, not dismissed, written in. That should do something to your spirit. Because no matter what storms have come, what chaos has unfolded, what suffering has covered the land, the mention of Iran in Scripture means this story was never over. It was designed with fire. It was meant to endure the dark and still shine. So many feel invisible, powerless, lost in the noise of the world. But when you hear your nation's name in words that outlasted kingdoms, you cannot stay small. You cannot live low. Something ancient was planted in this land. Something that's not done yet. And if your feet stand on it, your spirit was born for it. When a nation is named in prophecy, it's not because of what it is, it's because of what it's meant to become. That's the difference between history and destiny. History records what happened. Destiny calls out what's possible. Iran wasn't written into sacred text because of its past alone, but because of the role it must play in the future. That's not politics, that's purpose. Most people live trapped in their current conditions. They look around and believe what they see is all there is. But the human mind was made to reach beyond sight. Faith is not just a spiritual word, it is the engine that drives hope, courage, and progress. When someone begins to believe that they were chosen for something greater, their entire psychology changes. They walk through pain differently. They treat obstacles like training, not punishment. Iran has always carried this silent weight, a spiritual tension, a question pulsing beneath every generation, why us? Why here? Why now? And the answer is simple, because not every nation is chosen. Not every people are marked, but when you are shaped differently. You go through more, you're tested more, but you're also trusted more. And that trust is not from man, it's from something higher. This land has held secrets. Its soil has felt the footsteps of kings, prophets, and warriors, but its most powerful days are not behind. It's waiting for them to rise again. The calling was never canceled. The mention was never erased. It's just been waiting for people to wake up to it. When you realize your home was spoken of by voices beyond time, you don't see it the same way again. You begin to rise with it, to carry its promise, to live as if something more is required from you. Because it is. And once that truth enters your heart, you can never go back to sleep. Names change over time, but the spirit behind them remains. Elam became Persia. Persia became Iran. Yet the soul of the nation never shifted. Its purpose never dissolved. Beneath the surface of every new title lies the same ancient fire, a fire that once guided empires, a fire that still flickers in the heart of its people. The world may forget the names, but destiny never forgets the soul. This truth isn't just history, it's identity. When people understand where they come from, they gain power over where they're going. Psychology proves that identity shapes behavior. If you believe you are weak, you act weak. But if you believe you are born of greatness, built from endurance, called by something higher, you begin to act like it. You rise above fear. You move with purpose. You speak with authority. That is why these ancient names matter. They are not just relics of the past. They are reminders of who you are. They carry the echo of glory. They speak to something deep in the mind, something buried under years of silence and confusion. And once you hear them, once you realize they are connected to your life, something inside begins to burn again. You no longer see yourself as small. You no longer see your nation as broken. You begin to see the thread of destiny weaving through every name, every era, every struggle. Iran is more than its modern image. It's more than what the world sees. It is layered with prophecy, wisdom, suffering, and strength. It is a nation that carries weight beyond borders. And if you are part of it, then you carry that same weight within you. You don't need to create meaning. It's already in your blood. All you need to do is remember.
Remember that names may shift with time, but the call remains.
And those who awaken to it will never walk the same again. Not every nation is mentioned in sacred texts. Not every land is woven into the fabric of divine destiny. But Iran is. That alone should stir something within you. Out of all the places on earth, this land was chosen to be written into the eternal story. That means it carries weight, it carries responsibility, and it carries promise. You don't get written in unless you're meant to play a role that matters. This isn't about superiority, it's about significance. The truth is, being chosen doesn't make things easier. It makes them heavier. It demands more. It calls for courage when the world expects silence. It asks for endurance when others quit. And that's exactly what has been forged in the people of Iran. Not just survival, but strength. Not just tradition, but vision. From the beginning, Persia was known for more than just power. It was known for wisdom, for insight, for leadership that came not from fear, but from deep understanding. That's why even kings of other nations listened. That's why the words of Persian thinkers traveled farther than the reach of their armies. That wisdom wasn't lost. It was passed down. It lives in the minds of those who still feel a pull toward something greater. Many today feel the emptiness of a world chasing noise. But those who carry a deeper purpose always feel the difference. They move slower but stronger. They speak less but with more weight. That's the kind of leadership the world needs. Not noise, but clarity. Not control, but calling. The fact that Iran is mentioned in sacred text is not a coincidence. It is a clue that its voice is meant to return, a clue that its people are meant to rise with that same ancient depth. When a nation is written into destiny, it means that its people are never forgotten, not by time, not by heaven, and not by the fire that still burns inside them. Where there is destiny, there is always resistance. Nothing with true purpose comes without struggle. Iran's path has never been easy, and that is not a curse, it is a sign. A sign that what lies within this nation threatens the darkness. A sign that the power hidden inside its people cannot be allowed to awaken quietly. Throughout history, every nation called to rise had to walk through fire first, and Iran has walked through fire again and again. But here's the truth most never realize. Resistance creates strength. Pressure builds power. The human mind is designed to grow through adversity. That's not just philosophy, that's psychology. People who endure pain and find meaning through it become unstoppable. They don't just survive, they transform. And that's exactly what's happening beneath the surface in Iran, a transformation. Not one made of noise, but one made of silence, endurance, and unshakable focus. There is a battle happening, not just on the outside, but deep within the soul of a people. A struggle between who they've been told they are and who they truly are. Between the shadows of the present and the light of the calling. It's not a fight of weapons, it's a fight of identity. And the moment a person realizes they were born with purpose, the enemy loses ground. Iran's destiny isn't about domination. It's about awakening. It's about remembering the truth that was buried under lies. It's about rising, not with pride, but with clarity, the kind of clarity that builds leaders, not followers, builders, not beggars, visionaries, not victims. The world may not understand this process, but it doesn't need to. Destiny doesn't require permission. It only needs remembrance. And the people of Iran are remembering. Slowly, quietly, deeply, the kind of remembering that breaks chains, the kind of remembering that moves mountains, the kind that turns struggle into sacred strength. When a soul begins to wake up, it doesn't roar, it whispers. It starts as a quiet ache, a restlessness that refuses to fade. Deep inside, something begins to stir, not rebellion, not noise, but a hunger, a thirst for something real, something higher, something lasting. That is what's happening now inside the hearts of so many across Iran. It's not political, it's not emotional, it's spiritual. This isn't about anger, it's about longing. The longing to reconnect with a truth that was once known and then forgotten. A longing to live, not just to survive, but to matter. That desire doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the core of the human spirit. Psychology calls it existential drive, the deep need to find meaning beyond material things. And when people tap into that level of longing, they change. They can't be bought. They can't be controlled. They live with a quiet fire that burns through fear. This cry from the soul isn't weak. It's sacred. It's the first sign that a nation is rising again, not with loud declarations, but with focused hearts, not with noise in the streets, but with clarity in the spirit. When people begin to search for truth on their own, with their own eyes, their own minds, their own hearts, that's when real power returns. Iran's people are beginning to listen to something ancient inside them, a call that was buried but never silenced. And once that call is heard, nothing can stop it. It doesn't need an army. It doesn't need approval. It grows from within, like roots breaking through stone. The world may not see it yet, but it's real. The cry from the soul is rising. And it's not a cry of weakness. It's a signal that something divine is moving again through this land. And those who hear it will not go back to sleep. They will rise, they will build, and they will carry the story that was written for them long before they were born. The shift never begins with a crowd. It always starts in silence. One heart, one mind, one decision, and slowly the fire spreads. Not with noise, but with conviction. That is how true awakening begins, not outside, but deep within. Iran is experiencing this now, quietly, powerfully. The winds of change are not just political, they are personal. Minds are opening, spirits are stirring, and though it may seem invisible to the world, it is undeniable to those who feel it. This awakening is not sudden. It's the result of years of waiting, of breaking, of questioning. People have lived in the shadows, carried burdens, endured pain, and in that pain something was forming. Strength, vision, inner discipline, the kind of qualities no system can teach and no hardship can erase. These qualities are the foundation of true transformation. Psychology reveals that when humans go through prolonged suffering, they either break or they awaken. And the ones who awaken rise with a power that cannot be shaken. What's happening now in Iran is not loud, but it is real. A generation is being shaped, not by comfort, but by conflict, not by ease, but by endurance. And when a generation learns to think for itself, to search for truth on its own, to reject the lies and cling to purpose, it becomes unstoppable. There is a fire growing in the silence, in the homes, in the hearts, in the questions that refuse to die. It is not rebellion, it is revelation, a deep remembering of identity, a quiet returning to destiny. Iran is not being changed from the outside in, it is being rebuilt from the inside out. The awakening has begun, not in noise, but in stillness. And that stillness carries more power than any storm, because when people are truly awakened, they do not wait for permission. They do not ask to be free. They simply become what they were always meant to be, unshakable, unafraid, unstoppable. True strength isn't always visible. It doesn't always make noise. In fact, the most powerful forces in the world are often the quietest. Think about the roots of a tree. They grow deep in silence, unseen, while the tree above stands strong against the winds. That's what's happening in Iran right now. Strength is being built in the quietest moments. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's real. It's growing beneath the surface, unnoticed by many, but undeniable to those who are paying attention. The world loves to focus on the chaos, the noise, the struggles, but strength isn't built in comfort. It's forged in hardship. And when a people go through years of difficulty, it doesn't break them, it prepares them, it sharpens them. It builds resilience in their bones. The fire that Iran has walked through only makes it stronger, more determined, and more focused. It has been tested, but it has not been destroyed. There is a quiet revolution happening, a shift in mindset. People are waking up to the reality that their nation's history is not just a past to mourn, but a foundation to build on. They are learning that the strength of their ancestors still runs through their veins. And this realization creates an unshakable resolve. The spirit of Persia, the wisdom of ancient times, the power of generations. These are not just stories. They are truths that are being rediscovered. And once these truths are awakened, nothing can hold them back. This process isn't immediate, it doesn't happen overnight, but the momentum is undeniable. Each day, more people are awakening to the call. More people are realizing that they were born for something greater. They are not victims of circumstance, they are agents of change. The more they embrace this truth, the stronger they become. They begin to move with purpose. They begin to rise. And when enough people awaken, that's when the real power is unleashed. The fire that was always there, hidden beneath the surface, finally comes to light, and nothing can stop it. The power of a nation is never found in its rulers alone. It is found in its people. It is in the hearts of those who carry the weight of history, who wake up every day with a desire to make things better. Iran's future doesn't rest on one person, one event, or one leader. It rests on the collective strength of its people, their mindset, their resilience, and their willingness to remember who they are and where they come from. When a people begin to understand their true power, when they realize that their history is not a burden but a foundation, they transform. They no longer see themselves as victims of the world's circumstances. They see themselves as warriors in a grand story, each with a role to play, each carrying the torch of something greater than themselves. This realization changes everything. It shifts the way they think, the way they move, the way they speak, and ultimately the way they live. A shift in mindset is like a seed planted deep within the soil. It may take time to grow, but once it takes root, nothing can stop it. And as more people in Iran begin to embrace their purpose, to awaken to their true potential, the power of the nation begins to change. It becomes unstoppable. There is a strength in numbers, yes, but there is also a strength in unity of purpose. When a people come together united by a shared belief in their destiny, there is no force that can stand in their way. This is what makes a nation great. Not its borders, not its wealth, not its military power, but the collective strength of its people. Iran's greatness has always been within its people, and that greatness is beginning to rise again. It's not about returning to the past, but about embracing the future with the strength and wisdom of those who walked before them. The fire that once burned bright in Persia is not gone. It is waiting to be reignited. And when it is, Iran will not just be a country. It will be a force, a beacon, and a reminder to the world of the power that lies in remembering who you truly are. The greatest shifts in history often happen in the quietest moments when no one is watching. It's in the stillness of the night that the seeds of change are sown, in the hearts of those who have been patient, who have endured, and who know that something greater is coming. This moment in Iran's story is no different. It may seem like nothing is happening, like the world has moved on, but beneath the surface the ground is shifting. The roots are growing deeper. The fire is being kindled. This isn't a change that can be forced or manufactured. It's not about quick fixes or shallow solutions. This is about deep internal transformation, an awakening of the soul, a rediscovery of purpose. When people realize the truth of their own identity, when they recognize their own worth, something inside them changes. They stop seeing themselves as victims of their circumstances. They stop accepting the limitations placed on them by the world. They begin to understand that their past doesn't define them, it shapes them. And their future, that is something they have the power to create. The true power of a nation lies in the hearts of its people. It's not about the wealth of the land or the size of the army, it's about the strength of the spirit. When the people of a nation know their worth, when they remember the greatness within them, they become unstoppable. Iran is awakening to this truth. It's not the same place it was yesterday. It's not the same place it was a year ago. It's becoming something greater. The transformation has already begun. This transformation will not be quick. It will not be easy, but it will be powerful. Those who are awake to their purpose will carry this transformation forward one step at a time. It will spread like wildfire, not in the noise of protests or revolutions, but in the quiet, determined actions of those who refuse to remain in the shadows. They will rise, they will build, and they will lead the world by showing what happens when a nation remembers its true destiny. The people of Iran are awakening to this power now, and once they do, nothing will ever be the same again. The greatest power a person or a nation can have is not found in what they own or what they control. It is found in what they believe. Belief shapes every action, every choice, every step taken toward the future. When a people believe they are destined for greatness, when they believe they have a purpose beyond mere survival, they cannot be stopped. This belief is not born from external circumstances, it is born from within. It is a deep-rooted knowledge that says, I was made for something greater. My nation was made for something greater. Iran's strength has always been in its belief. It was never just a land of conquerors. It was a land of visionaries. The Persian Empire wasn't built solely on strength. It was built on wisdom, on insight, on the ability to see beyond the moment. Even in the hardest times, this belief has never left the people. It has been hidden, sometimes buried under fear or doubt, but it's always there, waiting to be awakened. The human spirit is not meant to stay down. It is designed to rise, to fight, to stand tall. And when a nation awakens to its true purpose, when it shakes off the chains of fear, doubt, and weakness, it becomes unstoppable. Iran is at that tipping point. The belief that once fueled empires is beginning to rise again. And those who have the courage to remember, to believe in the destiny written for them, will carry that belief forward. What's happening in Iran is not just a change of mind. It is a transformation of the soul. It is a rediscovery of who they are, and more importantly, of what they are capable of becoming. No longer will they accept the limitations that have been imposed on them. No longer will they allow their story to be defined by others. Iran is remembering its true power, and once that power is fully realized, nothing will hold it back. The world may not understand it yet, but Iran's people don't need the world's approval. They need their own belief, and that belief will carry them through any storm, any challenge, any obstacle. Because when a people truly believe in their destiny, they become an unstoppable force, and the world will see Iran rise, not because of force, but because of belief. True transformation is never instant. It doesn't happen in a moment of glory or in a flash of inspiration. It happens slowly, piece by piece, day by day, in the quiet choices made in the dark hours. Transformation requires persistence. It requires vision. It requires a people who refuse to stay stagnant, who refuse to accept what the world says they are, and choose to become what they were always meant to be. Iran's journey of transformation is not a sprint. It's a marathon, a long and steady climb towards something greater. The true power of a nation lies not in its wealth, its technology, or its military might, but in its ability to persist, to endure, and to transform over time. And Iran has been enduring. It has been carrying a weight, a responsibility, a history that many do not understand. But what they fail to realize is that this weight is not a curse. It is preparation. The struggles, the pain, the challenges, these are the things that shape a nation into something indestructible. They make the people stronger, more determined, more focused on the future. Every great nation that has ever risen from the ashes has done so because it refused to stay down. It chose to rise, not in a rush, but in its own time. It chose to transform itself from the inside out. And this is exactly what is happening in Iran. The people may not see it yet, but every hardship they've endured, every difficulty they've faced has been building them for this moment. Iran is not just rebuilding, it is transforming. It is rediscovering its purpose and its power, not through the external forces that have tried to control it, but through the internal strength of its people. There are no shortcuts in transformation. There is no easy path, but those who walk it with purpose, with belief, with an unwavering commitment to what they know is true, will always reach the summit. Iran is on the edge of something powerful. The change is happening, even if it's not visible to the naked eye. And when it reaches its full potential, the world will witness the strength of a nation that never gave up, a nation that refused to let its story be written by others. This is the power of transformation, slow, steady, and unstoppable. When the heart of a nation begins to change, it's not always loud. It doesn't always come with cheers or celebrations. True change often begins in the quiet moments, when people decide they no longer want to be defined by their past. It happens when they realize they can write their own story, not as victims of history, but as creators of their future. And this is where Iran stands today, not at the mercy of past mistakes, but standing tall, ready to step into a new chapter with the strength and clarity of purpose to carry it forward. The power of transformation doesn't lie in the past. It lies in the present, in the decisions made today. Every small act of change, every shift in thought, every moment of courage that is taken adds up. It doesn't happen overnight, but it builds momentum. The more people awaken to their true potential, the more that transformation spreads. It starts with one mind, one heart, and soon it becomes a movement. This is the transformation happening in Iran. It's quiet, it's steady, but it's unstoppable. When a people realize they've been chosen for something greater, they stop living for just themselves. They begin to live for their future, for their children, for the destiny of their nation. This isn't about chasing fleeting desires. This is about long-term vision, about seeing beyond the current circumstances and understanding that the struggles they face today are part of a much larger story. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. Every hardship is a step toward a greater purpose. Iran is beginning to see this now. The world may look at Iran and see chaos, but the people are seeing something different. They are seeing the quiet power within themselves, within their nation, within their destiny. The quiet strength that has been hidden for so long is now beginning to awaken. And when that strength fully rises, nothing can stand in its way. Iran is not defined by what it was. It is defined by what it is becoming. And what it is becoming is nothing short of extraordinary.